In this video, I want to talk about gaslighting children. This is something that we do all the time. We meaning adults. So whether you're a parent, an educator, a therapist, or anyone else who works with children on a regular basis or has them in your life and sees them on a regular basis, understand that you might be guilty of some of these things. I will freely admit that I am or have been. And, when we know better, we do better. So that's where I'm at with this. First of all, gaslighting. What is that? That is when you go to someone with a problem and that person turns that problem around and makes it sound like it's your fault. So it could totally have been that person's fault that you're going to, but they turn it around and make it sound like it's your fault. It's kind of blaming the victim. It's invalidating you. It's your mental problem. It's not something that they have any control over. It's something that ultimately leaves you feeling very invalidated, dismissed, and it makes you question your own reality because you wonder, I have this problem I was trying to get help with, and now I don't even have it. Maybe it was my fault that I did this or that this happened. Right. So, one of the things that we might do or say to children is to invalidate their feelings. We might say, it's not a big deal. Now, to a certain extent, sometimes we can use that phrasing, but for the most part, we don't want to minimize what feels like a big deal to them and call it a little deal. So this is something that when I've done size of the problem, which is a treatment strategy where, we rate different things and say, is this a big problem, a medium problem, a little problem, or somewhere on a scale there that we might have them rate. And they might say, well, this is a big deal to me. And I'll be like, no, that's a little problem. See, it's on the little problem list. It's just a glitch. And even though it should be a glitch, to them, it doesn't feel like one. And so there's different ways to work on that strategy now that, I do that is a little more validating and I'm not gaslighting the kids. So if you want some support on that or ideas, please feel free to comment below and I'll tell you what I do now with that. Another thing we might do is ignore their emotional response to focus on their behavior. So if they're having a big reaction, we might say, you're overreacting, or it's not okay to yell. So we're focusing on what they're doing instead of how they're feeling. And if you know anything about children and how they respond to big emotions, often they come with big behaviors. And so when we're focused on the behavior, they're not listening to a behavior lesson at that time. They're in fight or flight most likely. And the best thing we can do at that time is to validate their feelings and support their emotions and help them feel better. So that's invalidating to how they're feeling at the time. So understand that. Another thing we might do that really freaks me out actually a little bit because it's kind of scary that there are some adults that will dismiss what children say as being true. And the reason that's scary is that if a child approaches you with a story about something that's abusive to them, you have to believe them. And the fact that someone could invalidate that is pretty scary. So, there's less severe things than that children might say and do that are still important for us to address. But that's the one that, of course, is really scary and ultimately is a trust breaker. So if there is something smaller, like a child comes home and they've peed their pants and the parent asks them, well, why did you pee your pants today? I know you know when you need to go to the bathroom. And they say, well, my teacher wouldn't let me use the bathroom. Well, this is a child's perspective. There are children that lie. The story that comes to you may not have all the facts to it, of course. But if you respond with, well, I'm sure your teacher wouldn't do that, you've completely invalidated what they said. Instead, you might look into it, right? So I'm sorry that happened. Let's see what happens so that doesn't happen in the future, right? So you can say something like that and they can feel supported. But just dismissing them and telling them that, yeah, you're not right, your teacher must have been, is really not a good feeling. And that is gaslighting. So I hope that this was helpful and that it makes you think a little bit about some of the things that you are doing when you speak to children and how that might, make them feel, because we tend to do these things a lot. So I'm hoping we can make a shift, and I would love to hear about any other changes, or did I miss some things that we might commonly say? Please comment below and let me know. Thanks.